Hey friends, welcome back to the Do Cool Shit podcast. I am here with Olivia Oneid, and I know we're going to have an awesome conversation today. We're going to talk about her and her journey. And we're also going to chat a bit about food training through the holiday season, since that is upon us right now. And I know we both like to nerd out about this a lot. So, Olivia, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I always like doing podcasts with cool people who do cool shit. So double the cool this episode.
Yeah, you're in the right place. Okay, so Liv, we know there's a couple like big things that you do. It's very present in like public view where you're a business owner, you're a coach, you're an athlete, you're an IFBB pro, and you're probably someone who when I think about people training hard as fuck, you're someone who I think about. You are a wife, you're a dog mom. They're both
Three.
3 dogs. Paul was on, I don't even know how long ago, but we talked about, yeah, your 2 land hippos and your cow is what we referred to them as. So you do a lot, and I'm wondering, like, what's underneath all of that? What helps drive you to do what you do?
Honestly, I've been thinking about this a lot lately because I feel like a similar-ish question has come up because I did my like pro debut season and now I'm stepping away from bodybuilding and competing because we want to start a family. So a lot of people just kind of like asking how I feel about it. Because I think a lot of competitors identify their lives as competitors and athletes, and I really don't. I My life is not just training and nutrition. I do it because I enjoy doing it, not necessarily because it's my identity per se, um, which I think can be also challenging as an online nutrition coach. I don't wanna say influencer, but, like, someone who has a following based off of the fitness nutrition content that I put out. So I'm expected to be the identity of this person who is only that, which is a weird thing to wrap my head around because whenever I share like personal things about my life, my followers just go down. It's like, oh, you're a person that does things outside of fitness, training, nutrition. And so I started a personal page to share all of that stuff. But yeah, I'm just a a normal person who enjoys traveling, um, doing other hobbies like outside of the gym when I can, like when bodybuilding is my life and I'm prepping, like that takes up all of my time. But I love reading, I love going on hikes with the dogs. Um, I love trying new things. Like I've dipped my toes into like everything, yoga, spinning, CrossFit, Olympic weightlifting, powerlifting. Like, I just like to do new things all the time too. Yeah.
I love that. I have so many questions, like, which one do I ask first? With trying new things, and this is something that I see with when you're really, really good, like, quote, unquote, "good" at something, you became a professional bodybuilder. So, when you're really, really good at something, how do you go about trying new things? What like, mentally, that can be really challenging where you're bad at it at first.
It's mentally challenging, and that's what I like about it, right? Because, when you're like, you obviously I shouldn't say you obviously, but you probably haven't felt that um, like that lack of motivation to go train or to follow your calorie goal or plan for the day, whatever, because you don't know about that delayed gratification yet. Like you don't that hasn't been ingrained in you. So for me, like bodybuilding, training, all that, on days when I don't feel like going, I still go because I know how I'm going to feel after. So having that new feeling of you don't know the delayed gratification yet, there's so much friction. So it's like you're a newbie again and like trying to repeat those lessons that I teach my new clients about like pushing through the emotions, pushing through the friction. Like I'm going through that again, and I love it. Right, I love that mental pull and battle. Like I started picking up running again, and I'm like procrastinating going on my run. I'm like, why am I procrastinating? Like just go do it, and then you forget how great you feel after the fact of doing it. Physically and mentally of like, okay, I just did something that I didn't want to do. I really didn't want to do this, but I did it.
Yeah. This is so present in my mind too as I started playing volleyball again in the past year. It was so hard mentally to just
Hmm.
be bad at things or have things uncovered that you're like, I thought that I was pretty good here, but apparently not. And going through you said like drawing parallels where, hey, I've done this before, reminding yourself that it's worth it
Hmm.
because it's really hard when you're not sure. Like you start running, you're not sure if going on that run is actually going to be worth it for you
Yeah,
or not.
yeah. You don't know what lies on the other side of this run for you.
Yeah.
And even just like the thought of like looking stupid too, like me getting back into more like athletic things and like jumping. I'm like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to warm up for these things. I'm trying to do like A skips and B skips and I look like a freaking flailing whatever. But I'm like, who cares if I look stupid? I looked stupid when I started Olympic weightlifting and I ended up being nationally qualified for that. Like it's a process to go through and you just have to not be scared of looking stupid and performing like a noob for a little bit.
Yeah. I think that's a good reminder where it's just like, I'm new at this and kind of managing expectations where it's like, I'm not going to be great at this, checking yourself, checking your ego. And it does sound like you do identify as someone that does hard things and someone who likes to pursue growth.
Yeah, yeah, I would say that. Like I identify as someone who prioritizes my health and likes to stay fit and do hard things and like mentally challenge myself. And that was the main reason why I did bodybuilding in the first place. So it's like that's my identity at a core. And bodybuilding just kind of helped me develop those things.
That yeah, so you've done like it sounds like you've done a lot of different sports
Yeah.
and taken it to pretty high levels with each mode that you use.
Yeah, because I don't want to be average at anything. So if I'm gonna start something, I'm gonna get good at it until I'm like, okay, now I need a new challenge.
Has there anything that has there been anything that you started that you were like, "No, I actually don't like this at all," and stopped it? Or you're like, no, I need to get good at this first."
Not anything in like my adulthood,
Mhm.
but as a kid, like I wanted to skateboard and play basketball because like the cool kids were skateboarding and playing basketball and I sucked. Um, but I'm sure if I picked it up now, if I had interest in it, I would have more of the discipline to stick with it.
Mm. I'm also wondering if, when you're a kid, you're so cognizant of judgment from other people, and you, like, really don't wanna look stupid.
Yeah.
So
That and like you don't have the attention span maybe to like put the hours and the practice into it unless it's something that you really
yeah,
want. But a
yeah,
solo thing like skateboarding, and I didn't have anyone to teach me either, so that was a big.
yeah, yeah, and I don't know. I mean, you're younger than me, but, like, I didn't have YouTube or anything like that when I was younger either, so I was like, "How do I even learn this?"
I think when I was maybe around like 11 to 12, that's when like the YouTube videos like shoes and like Scarlet fell off the table, like those ones when
Yeah,
YouTube like came about. I was probably about like 10 or 11. So it was like just starting, but there was no skateboarding tutorials.
yeah. Alright, so yeah, you heard it here, guys. You can look stupid, and that is just kind of like the price you pay to enter, and it can be fun. It can suck, and it also can be fun. There's more than one thing that can be true at once.
I think it sucks when it's happening, but like the gains that you get when you're new at something are so much bigger than when you're a professional or some like really good at something. So that's the thing that keeps you super motivated is the improvements every single time that you go in and do these things. But yeah, it does suck. You're gonna look stupid, but a couple weeks, months, years down the road, like you're gonna look cool as shit when you're really good at this thing.
Yeah, I agree. I also think it's like you decide if you look stupid or not. Like if you're like, like you act like I'm trying new shit and I'm learning that people are gonna be like, oh, okay, she's confident.
Yeah. Well, it's
So
the same thing. Like whenever you see someone doing something that you wish you could do, like, um, for me, it's filming in the gym and, like, recording myself, like, talking. I just find it so embarrassing for some reason. I'm like, "Everyone's staring at me," but then when I see someone else doing it, I'm like, "Good for you, girl." Like, I wish I had the confidence to do that, but she probably feels the same way, right?
mm,
So, that's
the story we tell ourselves.
yep, yep.
So when you are like you said, the gains are so big when you first start something. And then when you get into it, like if you're listening and you've been lifting for a really long time, like in the beginning you'll make like 30-pound gains in your lifting, but then it's really hard fought to get like 5 pounds or even
Mhm.
less than that later on. But when you're talking about like comparing, what would you suggest people do or don't do so they actually do feel like they're making progress and keep going when it feels shitty?
Like, when they've gotten good at something?
No, when they're in the well, both actually, that's a good point is so in beginning stages and then also when they're in the nitty-gritty of, like, really trying to make gains and it's hard.
Um, well, I'd say, like, when you're good at something, should we stick with more of, like, the bodybuilding? Because I feel like every
Yeah, you can use whatever you want.
so, like, with bodybuilding, yeah, it's really hard for me to make big weight progressions, but the periodization within training and kind of, like, playing logbook gymnastics so that you're still getting those progressions week by week, because if you're just staying at the same weights, same movements all the time, it can just I don't know, it just feels a little bit boring, but to have something to look forward to, so, like, adding in, I don't know, tempos, bands, intensifiers so that you build something up and then you get to a point where you're not really progressing anymore. And then it's like, okay, add this intensifier or add this pause and continue to rebuild. And then by the time that you go back to the like straight sets that you did months ago, it's like, okay, now I'm stronger here now. And you get that progression that way. Um, and then at the beginning, I mean, obviously you're going to see those bigger gains week by week. When it comes to lifting, I think it's just remembering to, like, not get overzealous and to pace yourself through it so that you're not rushing into things and your form isn't breaking down or you're not getting hurt because those tissues aren't really ready for those loads yet and the mechanics of it. So just remembering to pace yourself, like, even though you feel stronger, even though you're like, "Oh my god, I can add 20 pounds this week," it's like, maybe you should just do 5 and, like or 5 or 10 and slowly work up, even though that you think that you can. Slowing
Mhm.
yourself down.
Mm, that's really great advice, and I think there's people that get themselves like you said, you get yourself in trouble when you're like, "Well, I could just make this massive jump," but
Mhm.
it actually tends to be at this roadblock in continual progress.
Yeah. It's like you'd rather have a, like, pretty linear progression rather than a big spike and then you have to drop down again, and then a big spike and then you have to drop down.
Yeah, and I'd say mentally that makes it harder too when you feel like you're cruising and then there's this big crash into a wall and you're like, "Oh." And that's I mean, I think you could say that towards anything too, like, we're talking about it in lifting right here, but when you start anything new, it's easy to get overzealous, and, I mean, just like you said with the recording, it's easy to compare yourself to other people who you think are doing, like, amazingly, instead of maybe comparing yourself to, like, where you first started or where you were at the week before.
Mhm. Yeah.
With, okay, so you're not just looking at one thing. When you're looking at making progress and growing through things, you're not just focused on one thing in it. You're focused on a lot of different things in it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, if you're focused on one thing, it's almost like, I don't know, like hyper fixating on one metric, similar to nutrition, where it's like, if you're hyper fixated on just the scale, you're gonna miss the micronutrients. You're gonna miss your sleep. You're gonna miss your self-awareness, your habits, your decision making, like so much more that is going to dictate how the scale moves. So if you're only focusing on that one thing, you're missing so many other bigger pieces of it. So if I'm only focused on the load on the bar, I'm missing my movement quality. I'm missing how I'm actually feeling going into that session. I'm missing how I feel after that session. I'm missing like tempo and like quality of the movement, my weak points throughout a certain movement, like all of these other factors that play into how the weight on that bar moves.
Mm, that's huge, and what I'm hearing behind that is just, like, self-awareness and self-understanding, which I think is just one of the coolest things that people can get to when they allow themselves to expand what they're focused on.
Yeah. And it's very much a thing that I think comes with maturity as an athlete, being able to focus on the bigger picture, because a lot of people, like, they start their nutrition journey or going to the gym for a certain reason,
Yeah.
right? It's either to lose weight or to look at probably to look a certain way. Like, no
Yeah.
one steps foot in the gym or starts a nutrition journey because they're like, "I want more self-awareness and self-development." Like, it's for that reason, and they're hyper fixated on that, and then all of the self-awareness and self-development, like, starts to come when they see the bigger picture, when they see how much like more input contributes to this e- ex export external thing, whatever that they initially started.
Yeah, and that's I think that's it's such a good point too because there's no right or wrong reasons why you start something. Like,
Hmm.
I agree. Most people that start with me in coaching or most people I talk to that started going to the gym, and myself included, was because I wanted to feel more confident in my body or I wanted to look a certain way, right? That's most people, start with, and that's totally okay.
Yeah, I
And
think that's like 99% of people.
yeah, I would agree. I haven't run across anybody that has, again, gone in because they're like, "I wanna be mentally stronger."
Yeah,
But that stuff happens when you pay attention to it, and that's the kind of stuff like, you talk about you go to the gym because that's just what you do. You know that it's gonna be worth it, and you know that the way you feel later is worth going through that resistance and going. That's part of it, right?
yeah, absolutely. And like Paul and I were talking the other day about the difference between us running now, because he's also started running. Um, and he was saying for men, the reason why they get into endurance training and running later in life is because they started lifting for the aesthetic purpose. Like, no one, I shouldn't say no one, some people, like, no one's like, I want a runner's body, like a marathon runner, right? So they build the muscle first, and then once they have the muscle, then they start doing the endurance work because they can suffer that same amount of like discomfort and pain through running without all of the load and tax that their body takes with lifting. And then I was like, I feel like it's kind of different for women because women do kind of want to be smaller. So a lot of women would probably start off with running, which I did. I started off like big cardio bunny, running like 10Ks like multiple times a week. I just wanted to be thin. Uh, but the difference between then and now is now I run for performance, not as like calorie restriction or how many calories I'm burning or as cardio. So I'm running, I'm like, okay, what was my split this time? Like, what pace am I supposed to be doing? I have a program, I have uh, like guidelines to follow and like tempo runs and intervals. And like, I'm chasing that performance and I'm crushing honey and like rice cakes like right before and after my run. Whereas before I was like, okay, I burned 700 calories. I need to make sure that like I don't eat those 700 calories back. Like, it's like huge difference between then and now with how I view the things that I do um, as more of like performance and again, seeing all those metrics that input into my performance. And obviously, my body composition and health and fitness is going to be like 10x compared to what it was before.
Yeah. That do you hear people still come to you and say like, "Well, I know that if I wanna lose fat that I need to run."
Yeah, yeah. I mean, think that's the general consensus when a lot of clients come to me that uh, want to go through a fat loss phase and like, how much cardio should I be doing? I'm like, we don't need to. How much have you been doing before? Right. And starting from there, but it's usually okay, if I'm dieting, I have to do cardio, which is not the case. Um, and honestly, like, you're probably gonna be in a much better position not doing a bunch of cardio and just walking and getting movement because that's not gonna drive your appetite up like crazy.
Oh my god. That is something that I didn't realize. I was the same as you where I used to run and I'd be like, "Okay, I burned calories and now I need to keep it where I'm at." But at the same time, I was fighting like I would run maybe a mile and be so freaking hungry.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Like,
crazy.
it's gonna increase your appetite quite a bit. So it's just I just find that the offset of like, okay, you burn 250 calories in your cardio session, but if we took out the cardio and took away 250 calories, like, you're probably gonna be in a much better position and more comfortable throughout the day with your hunger levels from doing like just low impact steady state and then slowly like sprinkling in some cardio when we're getting to a point where it's like, okay, we don't really have much more wiggle room to pull calories from, so we need this deficit to come from somewhere. But yeah, like, start off with no cardio, like minimal cardio, like enough to just kind of improve your cardiovascular health, get that little bit of like recovery benefit from higher intensity, like some, I don't know, zone 2, zone 3, but don't start off with copious amount.
Yeah, that's a great advice. Yeah, I was just curious. I hear that sometimes from people, and I'm like, oh, it's an interesting narrative that just continues. Although I do think that there's way more emphasis now on lifting weights and the benefit of that, which I love. So,
Yeah, although I feel like the shift is happening again,
yeah,
just with the introduction of GLPs and just making them, like, more widespread and more accessible, and Pilates, it's just not to harp on Pilates, that's one thing I haven't tried, so I can't say anything negative about it until I've tried. Um, but the shift is happening again where skinny is starting to be in.
yeah. I have seen a number of videos where there are women who are talking about debulking and that they're like, "Well, don't ever let anybody tell you that you'll get bulky, like, you won't get bulky by accident, because this happened to me."
Mhm,
And I am not ruling out that there's a number of women who will absolutely gain muscle faster, but I
mhm.
think that's also a very slippery it's a slippery slope that we're on right now.
Yeah, I think it's very small percentage. You must have some pretty good genetic potential if you do accidentally get too bulky. But I think that's also just your perception too. Like if I saw that girl walking down the street, I wouldn't be like, "Whoa, she's jacked," but it may be too jacked for her.
Mhm.
So it's your perception. Um, and I think a lot of times, like I've seen a couple of videos where they're like, I accidentally got two big traps. I'm like, well, you also maybe probably weren't lifting with great technique and everything was like this, and all your lat pull downs were shoulders shrugged and like not doing things correctly. And that's maybe why you got like too bulky and like your traps, and that's what you didn't like.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you're stressed as fuck and just walking around with your shoulders at your ears
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
day long.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point where whenever we're looking at things, again, remember there's more than one thing that can be true and thinking about what else could be true as well in there.
Yeah, but yeah, it is a slippery slope because even like when we're looking at like celebrities too, there was uh like with this last kind of like push for more muscle, I think people were more idolizing like more athletic physiques. I'm trying to think of like who comes to forefront of mind with who had like an athletic body. I feel like I don't know, like Tate McRae. I know she's big right now and she's a dancer and like she has a healthy amount of body fat.
Mhm.
She works out. And then now it's just kind of shifting back to like just being really skinny. Um, and with influencers these days too, and like showing year round how lean they are, and then putting out their nutrition advice when they're not nutrition coaches, they're just influencers. Um, and it's all pretty much just like, this is how I restrict things. And that's just the narrative of it.
Yeah, and they're not saying that, but for someone that has perspective like you or I, we can see the dangers in there. So let's go off of that. What are your thoughts on red flags people should be aware of when their goal may be changing their body composition, losing fat, being leaner, being more, toned? What are
Mhm.
things that people should not be doing? What are things that you think people, would benefit from?
Not dieting. Not fucking dieting all the time.
It's like you oh, I don't know if anyone's surprised when they hear that, but, I know a lot of people would be.
It's a really hard pill to swallow. Um, but it's just like the people that are constantly fixated on losing weight and the people that are following these people that are lean are likely following because they have this ideal body composition that they want. Chances are the person that you're following, if they're holding like a year round lean physique, one, maybe they are that rare genetic potential where they can maintain this low body fat, or they're a professional athlete, like, I don't know, like a CrossFit athlete who is probably eating upwards of like 3,000 plus calories a day. They're just like, they've spent years, again, not dieting, just building up to that physique and having that performance capacity and just accruing more muscle mass year after year without dieting. Um, but a lot of these people probably have some like really unhealthy relationships with food. Like I saw a, a video of a girl that was like, I am going out for dinner and I'm going to show you guys how I prep for it. And she's eating her meal in the car. And then she goes in and tells everyone that her stomach hurts, so she's not gonna eat. So that's, like, how she approaches her meals out, and it's like, okay, that's context dependent. If you are prepping for a bodybuilding show, maybe, but then you tell people, like, "Hey, I can't eat out tonight," whatever. Um, but that's a really unhealthy relationship with food to have, and, like, something there is mentally unwell, so it's just a lot of these people don't have a great relationship with food or are constantly restricting things, um, and to achieve that look year round when you're putting a detriment to your health hormonally, mentally, physically, um, and just, like, ingraining these shitty relationship with food and, like, just essentially spinning your wheels because it may only last so long of this dieting, and then you go back to your old ways, and then you diet again, and then you go back to your old ways. Whereas if you spend an extended period of time, even just sitting at your maintenance or like slowly working things up as maybe you're able to kind of like reverse diet out of this like restrict restrict bulk, whatever cycle that you were in, you're going to be able to work up your calories and you're going to be able to change your body composition that way, put on muscle mass, and like create so much more self-awareness and improve your relationship with food and not looking at food as restriction but rather fuel over that time. Like that was a huge transitionary period in my life from healing from all of that uh, just like negative behaviors around food and disordered eating is when I spent like a good probably was like 18 months of not dieting and just, like, being okay with how my body looked, and it's hard at the beginning because it's like, "Okay, I just wanna lose weight, I'm not happy with my body," but then eventually you get to a point where you're mentally so much better because you're not so focused on food and food noise all the time that you actually, like, settle into that better. Like, you settle into your body, you start to build more confidence, and that confidence of how you see yourself on the outside is actually coming from within, right? Your confidence and the ability to eat to fuel training, to be able to go out and enjoy food without thinking, "Oh my god, how many calories are in this? How am I gonna restrict tomorrow? Like, I can only eat this tomorrow to make up for it." Like, all of that stuff goes away and you just feel more confident and trust yourself. Um, but yeah, anyways, back to the original question is like,
I love that.
stop dieting so much because you need that time and that's where the magic happens.
Great advice. Super, like, challenging to put into place. There's gonna be a lot of, I would say, thoughts that are you're gonna have to combat
Mhm.
against in there, but again, just going back to our beginning of the show, like, this is new, and there's gonna be mistakes. There's not gonna be, like, clear where what I tell people is that restrict bulk, whether it's intentional or unintentional, is a pattern, and that's familiar to you, and you can predict it, like, your brain loves familiarity, right? So, you're gonna do that if you don't change the route, and there's, a level of trust you have to put into, I'd say, like, the process, but also yourself to learn from these
Yeah.
things.
And to just, like, sit in discomfort sometimes, right?
Yeah,
That's something like when I have my clients going through these uncomfortable stages, I'm like, if you find yourself in a moment where you're like, "I'm uncomfortable right now, I don't wanna do this," write it down, message me, like, that is what we're looking for, like, that is a win, and whether you're able to stick it out or not, it you still recognized it. And the more that you recognize it, the more self-aware you're becoming, and the better you're going to be able to sit through the discomfort when you can actually, like, pull that aside and be like, "All right, this is an uncomfortable moment. This means that I'm doing something different and I'm improving. Like, let's lean into that. Lean into it a little bit more." You're not gonna be able to every single time, but eventually you will, or that discomfort is gonna be less and less, and you'll get more comfortable, for lack of a better term, sitting in that.
in the discomfort. Yeah, I love that, and knowing kind of that reframe where discomfort is not necessarily a bad thing. It means that you're changing things, and that awareness where I do the same thing with my clients. Like, if you're noticing things that feel uncomfortable or there's emotions popping up that you're like, I don't want to be here right now,
Yeah.
then that's when it's all that much more important to kind of like sit in it
Hmm.
and give, not give it the power, put
Yeah.
yourself in the position of power.
And I mean, something else that I heard someone else say, I forget, but just with like coming out of like years of restrictive dieting and yo-yo dieting and stuff, trying to come out of that and work your calories up to be able to get to a point where you can put on muscle and eventually get to a point where you can have a successful fat loss, uh, is it's going to take as long as you allow it to take. Because if you constantly continue to restrict like a day here and there or go overboard here and there, like, the process is just gonna take longer and longer.
It's not like a month long where you're like, okay, I'm going to let myself not diet for a month and then go back into it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's not a 4, 6, 12-week reverse diet, 12-month.
Yeah, there's some deep shit that's going on there. So giving yourself whatever time you need to process through it until you're in a better position is huge. So let's chat about the holidays because I see this as a really big cycle for people a lot of the time where there's a lot of emotionality and there tends to be a lot of that restriction and then just like fly off the handles when it comes to certain holiday foods.
Mhm.
So let's chat about that and
How to
not
combat it.
yeah.
Um, Something that honestly, like, I've been reflecting on probably maybe the past couple years, but just as I've been a coach for, I don't know, like, close to a decade now. When I first started coaching, I would tell clients like, "It's a holiday, not a hol week, like, leave it to a day." It's like, okay, that's not the reality here. Like, people have families, you're gonna have multiple events.
Mhm.
There's going to be food at the office. Like, it literally is a hol 2 months for Americans, and for Canadians, like, you have a little bit of Thanksgiving, Halloween break, and then Christmas, so Canadians have it a little bit easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's true, it's literally a hol 2 month
Yeah.
here. So you have to have some, like, systems and, like, I don't wanna say guide, uh, an approach of how you're going to get through the holiday season and not looking for any perfection through it, but rather just an opportunity to learn and grow every single time that you're faced with a holiday season challenge. Every time that you go to a family event or a dinner out or there's food at the office, it's not going to be perfect every time, but as long as you can go through that and be like, okay, I like how I handled this. I don't like how I handled this. Like, how can I improve that for next time? And the good thing about the Holla 2 month season is you have so many opportunities to practice it and to learn.
Yeah. That is such a good point because it's true. That advice where it's like, it's really only 3 meals. It's like, no, it's really
Mm,
not. Like our environment is not set up for this to be easy
yeah, no.
at all. There's food everywhere. Stress is particularly high this time of year. So it's really there's like a lot of things kind of batting
Yeah.
against you.
And then you also have your family and, like, the peer pressure too of, like, "Oh, it's the holidays, like, relax a little. You can diet in the new year," like, whatever, and it's you have those other voices telling you to do things, and you're like, "Okay," like, "I'll do it."
I just had a conversation with a client where she went out to eat with like a coworker or something who she has to be gluten free. She has some gut sensitivities and whatnot. And the coworker got this giant cinnamon roll and she was like, "Oh, just have some. It's fine. It's just one bite, blah blah." And I'm like, she doesn't know why you said no. And this is with families and with holidays, there's so much peer pressure where m- a lot of people are just thinking through the lens of dieting and
Mhm,
they're not actually thinking through the lens of how you want to feel. And only you know how you want to feel. Also, your m- learning about yourself with like overeating or what's the right amount for you to feel comfortable. It's not just through the lens of weight.
mhm, yeah. I think, going into any social event with just your focus on weight or restriction, it's setting you up for failure. Because if you go in and you're like, "I'm not allowed to have any bread, and I'm not allowed to have dessert," that's gonna be on your mind the whole freaking time. And even if you don't have the dessert or the bread at that meal, you're probably gonna have it the next time, or like the next day, or the next time that there's bread or dessert around, you're probably gonna go overboard because you're like, "I didn't have any this day, so I can have some now."
Mhm. Mhm.
Uh, and
Yeah.
it's something I always remind clients too is like, you're I don't know, my average client is like 30 years old. I'm like, "You're 30 years old. That means you've had 30 times in the past where you've gone through a holiday season. You know your family, you know the peer pressures that are probably gonna be there, you know what type of food is gonna be there, you know just like you know the general format, you know what to expect, you've done this 30 times before. What can we what can we expect here, and how can we plan for it in a realistic way that's not gonna have you going in being like, I have a plan, I have to stick to it," but rather just like a guide of I usually struggle with uh, the appetizers and filling up on appetizers first. And it's like, okay, let's plan for how to combat that and make sure that you stick to just like a comfortable amount of appetizers.
Mhm.
Right. So, couple tips. One, bring your own damn appetizers if you don't know what food is going to be there. Right.
Mhm.
It's selfish for you, but the people hosting think you're being nice. So if you expect there to only be like chips and dip and all these things that you're like, I don't feel great eating them, but I just eat them because they're there and I'm hungry. Bring a shrimp ring, bring some fresh fruit and veggie trays and whatnot. And so you know that you have something there and you can fill up your appetizer plate with majority of that, but also some of the chips and dip and salami and cheese and whatever that you may want. But you have that stuff there too. Um, Not hanging out by the appetizer table the whole time, not going into your event hungry. Like, eat your normal food beforehand so that you don't go in and you're like starving and then you fill up on the appetizers and then you're not even hungry for dinner afterwards. Right. But like pinpointing certain areas that you know historically have been problems for you and mentally prepping yourself for that. Because I think the more that you prep yourself, the better you're gonna be able to handle it because it's not all of these, like, things being thrown at you, and then you're like, "Oh my god, I don't know what to do," and then there's so much decision fatigue, and you're just like, "I'm just gonna do what I always do because that's comfort."
Yes. That is something I tell people. It's like you have experience. Let's look at what that was and actually get in depth and not just going, I'm not gonna do that again, and then like going forth with no plan or strategy
Mhm,
whatsoever. You will do that again if you don't have plan and strategy. So just digging into those past events a little bit more. There's probably some new ones, but the ones that I just made this spreadsheet for my clients that was like, what's the date of your event? Like, here, let's make a list because again, it's not just 3 days. It's a lot of different stuff. So what are the dates? What are your things that you really find important and value about those things? What are the memories you want to make? What are your concerns about it? Like, what are past patterns that you don't want to repeat? And then, what are some strategies that can help you? And then, there's a little place for lessons afterwards because you're going to learn. Like, just like you said, there's no um, good or bad in here. There's probably some things that you really felt good about, and then there's probably some things that you're like, "Yeah, I wish I did that differently." Cool. That's all great
Yeah.
experience.
The key is just the self-awareness and understanding. As if it's just like a, "Oh, I didn't do this good," or "I fucked up again," sweep it under the rug, don't think about it ever again, it's gonna happen again. You're not learning anything.
Yeah. That's such a big thing is, if you have stuff that comes up, especially the stuff that you're like, "I didn't like that," then that is so valuable to explore. Because if you don't like it, you probably don't wanna do it again, so what could you actually do different?
My favorite thing is when people say, or I shouldn't say people, a lot of my clients say this, and then I have this conversation, but they're like, "Oh, I had a really good weekend. I hope that I can do it again this weekend." I'm like, "Hope? Hope for what?" Like, you think like an angel's just gonna come down and like sprinkle the good vibes and like the discipline and planning and preparation on you? Like, no, you don't hope, you plan for it, right? You're self-aware, so like look back at last weekend and understand, why did that weekend go so well? What did you do? Right? What made it good? And how do we do that again to practice it again?
Mhm. I love when people say that. And by love, I mean sarcastic. I hope that it goes like that again. It's like, okay, well, hope is not a bad thing. Hope is great and it's very appropriate in a lot of situations, but also like, how
Take
can we
take
make
some
this more
Yeah, take some ownership for it. Like, the weekend went well because you did something good, not because it just happened to go your way. Like, pat yourself on the back for how well that weekend went, and let's do it again.
right, right.
Mhm.
Ooh, ownership. I love that you said ownership.
Mhm.
So this is, I think, a big thing. I mean, in general, definitely through the holidays, where you also said, don't just sweep it under the rug if there was stuff that you did that didn't feel good. Again, you did it. Ownership. So can you talk a little bit more about that and how people can do that without like shaming themselves in the process?
I I like the concept of, like, being an idealist versus a perfectionist, um and it's a conversation that I've been having a lot lately with clients because the term, like, "I wasn't perfect" always comes up,
Mhm.
and it's like, okay, do you have this idea of being a perfectionist in your head? Because if you don't hit that perfect thing, you're a failure, right? And there's a lot of shame and judgment there, um, versus being an idealist and having this ideal way that you want to approach things. But even when you can't hit that ideal, you're still able to own the decision that you're making to get you still walking up that hill to where the ideal is, right? And there's when you can like pivot and shift and change what the ideal is for that given circumstance, you're still making progress and like using the ideal as like your guide and your compass to get you there, knowing that you're headed in the right direction. You may not get there today, but you can like view it without the shame and judgment versus I didn't hit this perfect target. I suck. Right? So that ownership, and if you can say like, I'm an adult, I made this decision for myself, there should be no shame or judgment there, especially if you're being aware of it and taking something away from that to understand and learn your behaviors and why you made that decision. Then you can say it's not a failure because I understand why I did this.
I like that. So, like, one, just not comparing or not having the expectation of perfection
Mm,
or what I even ideally want it to be, like not being so solidified on that being the only way to make progress essentially. And then ownership, where this was in my mind too. When you own shit, there's actually no room for shame.
yeah.
'cause you're not being bad, you're not doing anything wrong, you just
Yeah.
did what you did.
Yeah. You did what you did. Like, you ate half a pizza, but you made that choice of like, "Yeah, I want to eat half of this pizza.
Mhm.
I am doing it." And it wasn't just a like, your mind is elsewhere and, like, you look down and then all of a sudden half the pizza's gone and you're like, "Holy shit, like, what just happened?" If that self-awareness is there and you can consciously say like, "I am doing this, I am making this choice to do this," there should be no shame or guilt there, right? But if there is a shame, guilt associated with it, that just means that you didn't take that second to, like, pause and ask yourself what you wanted. It was a reactionary thing, and that's where you're like, "Okay, there's some work to be done here. I need to get deep in my brain right now to figure out what the hell just happened."
Yeah, again, just that's the information and direction as well. Cool. Any other big advice you have for holiday season?
One I would say, like, I don't know, like, don't try to diet through it. It's not worth it. You're probably just gonna end up spinning your wheels. Um Journal, write things down. Like, if you're not working with a coach who you can, like, talk through these things with, write it down somewhere. Write down, like, "This is what I foresee as a challenge coming up. This is how I wanna handle it," and then afterwards, "How did it go? What went my way? What didn't go my way? How can I approach it next time?" Like, again, ownership, like, having a coach gives you that accountability piece to reflect, and it kind of forces you in those weekly check-ins to reflect with your coach. But when you don't have that accountability, it can be easy to just kind of sweep it under the rug and forget about it. But if you can do that and like bring the bring those things back out under the rug so that you can sweep them into the dustbin and throw them in the garbage and throw out the garbage so you never have to see it again. And next holiday season, you're going to be a hell of a lot better. Um, but yeah, that's it. It's just an opportunity to do some, like, self-improvement and, uh, development through the holiday season. Maybe your body composition isn't changing, but your mind is, and I think that's a really good perspective shift to make progress that way versus making progress in your physique over
Mm,
the holidays.
yeah, I love that, and I think something too I would add on to that is those people are like, "Well, I want my body to change." Going back to what you said earlier, where the body composition changes are gonna come so much easier when your mind is in a better place.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
Like, the I think the holidays are probably the most challenging time, so it's like, if you can get through the holidays with a good head on your shoulders and coming out of it not facing so much, like, restriction and guilt and food shame that you have in previous years, you just set yourself up for a pretty damn good year ahead of you, and, like, think of how much resilience you just built to overcome things that may pop up next year.
Yeah. Yeah. So, there's a big thing that I'm hearing in here when it comes to, like, goals through the end of the year
Mhm.
is, like, getting very realistic in what things look like and not setting weight specific goals in here, physique goals, maybe just goals of being more skilled and being more self-aware and doing things a little bit differently.
Yeah, yeah. It's the perfect reminder also to slow down as well, right? And to do that work, because the holidays are just kind of like bam, bam, bam. It's like thing after thing, and it goes by so fast, and it's stressful for a lot of people. But you can do that work on yourself. Like, you're gonna end the year pretty strong mentally, maybe not physically. If you're like run down and stress is high, and maybe you get taken away from the gym more than you'd like to. Um, but there's still so much like reps and tension that you can build in your brain, your your biggest muscle.
What what goals or values are supporting you through the rest of the year?
Goals and values. I mean, my goal right now is to improve like fertility so that we can start a family. Having that as the forefront of my mind because I know fertility goals and physique goals, they can be together, and obviously I want to, when I do get pregnant, be in a good position to have healthy pregnancy and to not be at a higher body fat percentage because it's just gonna go downhill from there. Um, but it just, like, mentally, it's like, I don't need this physique. Again, it's not my identity, even though that's who I am on, like, Instagram. The goal of getting pregnant is so much more valuable to me and means a lot more, and that's where my mind is headed. Gaining body fat is part of that. Getting healthy is part of that. Like, I'm still recovering from my competition season too. So, just kinda letting that and, like, making health a focus, I know is gonna help me through the holiday season.
Just strong guiding light where it's kind of a mind fuck to like see your body fat percentage increase, the scale increase, your body change, and knowing that it's attached to this greater purpose
Mhm.
is helpful.
Yeah. I mean, I know bodybuilding in general, like, all of the reverse post-show has helped me get into this place of being okay with body fat coming on, knowing that it's coming with improvement to my health. It's still hard. I don't think it ever gets easy for competitors, but it's it's something that you become familiar with, and you do find comfort in that discomfort of body fat coming on.
Yeah, and probably just feeling better in general,
Yeah.
having more energy, being able to eat a little bit more cookies every once in a while.
Yeah. How about you? What are your values, goals when you through?
I personally have identified like my stress tends to be higher in the holiday season because people are crazy. So, like me, even going grocery shopping, I know that I actually usually enjoy going grocery shopping, but it's usually stressful as fuck for me. And like what I really want to kind of end the year in is feeling a lot more calm and regulated and just also have some really solid memories that are not, like, tainted by food shit that I know has been present for me in the past. So, those are things that I'm working on and I'm strategizing in all of the things that I have to work towards. So,
I think, like, all of that just kind of comes full circle, like, the more that you regulate your stress, the more time you're gonna have to, like, prepare yourself for the food noise and enjoy and be present, um, and being more present is gonna help with the stress, and, like, it's just it feeds into each other.
yeah, it's pretty magical how all these things work together when you start to, like, put puzzle pieces
Mhm.
into place versus I know certainly me in the past when I was, I'd say, like, in my most chaotic places where I was like, "Why the fuck aren't the things happening that I'm working towards?" And in retrospect, it's like, "Oh, because I was stressed as fuck." Like, all this stuff was going on, I was under fueling, like, all of these things, like, "Oh, no wonder."
Yeah. It's almost like you have all the pieces to your puzzle. They're just they get jumbled, and then it's nice when everything perfectly aligns and the puzzle is put together, and you're like, "Oh, like, this is okay, these are all the things that I've been working on in the background, and, like, now they're integrating, and now I've just kind of become this person, this I formed this identity with this puzzle that, like, all the pieces fit in perfectly together." But I think, like, people don't understand that those pieces are gonna get jumbled year after year until you're able to fit them in together.
Yeah, I love that. I love that analogy too of a puzzle. Yeah, it's worth it. And the more you do it, the more worth it becomes, the more self-trust you get, and, I think, like you said, like, more understanding is such a game changer. Self-awareness and self-understanding. Alright, Liv, I'm gonna put you in the hot seat and ask you, like, rapid-ish fire questions. Okay. What's one of your biggest pet peeves?
Oof. Uh, the biggest. I have a lot of pet peeves.
Oh, you can name a few, that's okay.
um, Loud eaters
Okay.
for sure. And one is that's just like on the top of my mind just because we're talking about like food and it happened recently. But like when someone takes a bite of a dessert and they're like, oh, this is too sweet for me, and then continues to eat it. Like, stop eating it then if it's too sweet for you. I don't know, that just, like I hear, like, all the time, so yeah, that's loud eaters and that.
That is so I'm thinking about instances now in my head of that. Oh my god, that's a good one. What's a go-to meal when you don't feel like cooking?
Uh, cream of rice some fruit, and nut butter. It's a go-to always. It's like my comfort food.
I Isn't it funny? I was just talking with my husband the other day about how, like, oatmeal and berries is a comfort meal for me.
Mhm. Yeah, well, the similar thing, like cream of
Yeah.
rice, oats, I would do either. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so
Okay.
easy. It's like the thing that I'm like, have those in your pantry at all times because if you don't feel like cooking, easy,
So
super
easy,
easy meal.
and then when you have it top of mind, part of why I asked this is, like, go-to meals because I feel like a lot of people who have been in the quote unquote "game" for so long, they have these go-to meals because they know they're gonna have decision fatigue and get to a point where they just don't feel like doing shit,
Yeah,
so
yeah. There's like several times where I'm like, it's the end of the day, and like literally my brain has like 2 cells left, and
yeah.
one of those cells needs to be used for what the hell I'm gonna eat, and it's just like I don't know. I cream of rice,
Mhm.
so that's easy.
Love it. Also, I saw in your story that you had that Elevate cream of rice. Do you recommend?
Mhm. Yes. That and Flavor Gang is also really, really good.
Okay.
Both of those, like, the flavors are, like, top tier. I don't even put protein in it because I just want the flavor of the cream of rice, and then I'll have, like, egg whites on the side or protein shake on the side
Yeah.
for the protein. Um, yeah, they're really good.
Okay, I'll have to try those. I put a bunch in my cart, and then I saw that I had to pay for shipping, and I didn't place the order, so
I hate that.
I hate that. Okay, what's a skill that you think everyone would benefit from, but many people don't?
Self-awareness.
Bring it back full circle there. Yeah.
The theme of the chat today is, self-awareness for sure.
I just said that I said that actually a handful of times last week. I was like, I just have to remind myself that self-awareness is not a skill that everybody has.
Mm.
Hmm.
Also, like, the skill of being calm too. Like, for people who are high stress, like, that's something that you're probably gonna practice a lot
Mhm.
through the holiday season is practicing that skill of calming yourself down.
Oh my god. Such a game changer. Yeah. All right. I am looking at your hair and I'm like, I need the curl routine. What is your step by step?
Oh god. I'm still figuring out my curls most of the time. I went to a curly hair specialist probably, like, a year ago now, and she gave me a ton of tips. Wash twice.
Oh,
So, like, when I'm washing my hair, I wash once a week. Wash it, rinse it, wash it again to, like, get all of the gunk off because, like, when you're putting so much curl product, like, it all builds up on the curls, and
yeah.
then when it's there, obviously, your hair can't absorb the moisture from the product, and that's why it gets, like, dry and frizzy. Um, The products I've been using are called Pattern, and I love them. They have like a really good line of like different things like curl gels and like a cast. I really like using the gel cast and then getting that through my hair. And then I have this brush that's like bristle, and then on the edges of the brush, it has the groove so that you can brush and then twist, like turn the brush so it has these like perfect strands, and then scrunch it up, blow dry it, and then like take the gel cast out, and then you have a nice curl. Yeah. So for any of the really curly headed, like I have like, I think this is
You're really curly.
like a 3C curl,
Yeah.
but I'm like on the verge of like kinky curls.
Yeah, you are very I actually do have curly hair, not even close to as curly as you, but I have no idea how to do it. So that was a selfish question, but I know it'll help other people too.
Yeah, well, I grew up like straightening my hair like crazy all the time. I didn't know how to do anything with it because my mom has really curly hair, but she doesn't do anything with it and she never taught me. So I'm like, I just had to learn this shit by myself. And with my curls, like something will work for a period of time and then it stops working and I have to try like a new product. So it's a hassle. Having curly hair, it's nice when it cooperates, but it is really frustrating. It's annoying.
Yeah, that's probably why I don't do that with my hair so often, but I really would like to. So I'm gonna try. I'm gonna look at that stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, what's something that you're working on right now that challenges you? And why is that important? You already named a couple, so I wanna talk about something else that you didn't talk about yet.
Something that challenges me. Well, we talked about like the me doing new thing, like running and like jumping athletic stuff, like that's new, like physically and challenges me. We covered the mental aspect of that. Um, Business wise, I am trying to develop a course, like a group coaching nutrition course, and I've put it off for so long. Um, so it's challenging to find the time. It's challenging to like sit down and record videos and do all the things that it's like I'm doing for hours throughout the week with my clients and then doing it again in my free time is really hard, but I know that it's going to benefit me so much down the road. So it's just been challenging to set those boundaries in place and just like make myself do it.
Mm, ooh, I feel you on that.
Yeah. I know you have a nutrition course out as well.
Yeah. It is so challenging to put these things together, and I don't think people realize who may be listening is, like, we talk about this stuff all the time. So sometimes, like, it can be really challenging to lay it out in a way that's gonna help people, especially because people are so different and they go through things at different speeds and different starting points and whatnot. Me personally, I was like, I want this to be the thing that helps people, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I've also done like 4 different versions of it because you learn every single time. So
It's like I get through a week and I'm like, "Ugh, I don't know, should I say this before this? And like, what order should things be in? And before I touch on this, I need to touch on this." And I'm just constantly like second guessing myself. I'm just like, I just need to just do it and then I can repurpose and change things as I go. So yeah, that's been a hard.
yeah, yeah. All right. What are your top 3 favorite condiments?
Ooh, the top one is Melinda's black truffle hot sauce, 100%. Um, is peanut butter a condiment?
We can put an asterisk next to it. Sure.
Yeah, well, I don't know, or I guess it's a spread because I was gonna say Nutella too. But I get a condiment would probably be
I mean, that is a good question. What would you consider a condiment?
yeah.
I guess when I think about condiments, I would think about things that are like a topper for things, but also then in my nutrition brain, I'm like, no, peanut butter is a fat source. It's not a condiment,
Yeah.
but hey.
Okay, well, we'll be realistic. So Linda's and sweet and spicy mustard, um, and probably the sweet poppy sauce from Flavor Gang. It's so
Ooh.
good, but it's so expensive, so I can't
Okay.
go too fast. It's like
Uh,
15 bucks for a bottle.
oh wow. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
it's a luxury.
That is a lot. That's a luxury condiment for sure. The Melinda's travel sauce, you turned me on to that, and
Mhm.
that is good.
Game changer too, they sell like, if you buy directly from the website, they sell, like, the gallon jugs of it, and it works out that you essentially, like, get a bottle for free when you buy the gallon.
Yeah.
So we just buy the gallons and we have the bottle and we just refill it. So it's
Yeah.
a
So if you're eating that shit all the time, totally worth it. All right. So what's something you've changed your mind about in health and fitness?
um, one thing that for sure I've changed my mind about, like, recently as I've transitioned my training is the like, you you have to pick your focus, like, if you wanna build muscle, you can't be doing, like, metcons or running because it's gonna take away from your recovery. Where now that I've been doing it and I'm someone who is dialed in on all aspects, like, my nutrition's always on point, my sleep is always on point, my stress is always on point, and I'm running 2 or 3 times a week, I'm doing a metcon maybe once or twice, and I'm training legs 3 times a week, like, heavy. I'm still making progress in my bodybuilding training. It's just it depends on the person, and if you have that recovery capacity, it could potentially help you be a better athlete, and, like, especially with these different, like, movements and moving in, like, sagittal planes and doing more, like, hip mobility and stuff, like, that's making me a better lifter. Um, so I'm a lot more open to the concept of including conditioning and metabolic work with bodybuilding training. Whereas before I was just kind of like, pick which one you want. Like, you can't have both. Like, you absolutely can, and you can make really good progress in both of them. But to make really good progress in both of them and, like, to have a pretty high volume of both, like, all of your boxes need to be checked. So you're not gonna
Mm,
be able to keep up.
yeah. Recovery is something that if I was going to tell people to look at with their training, it's look at your recovery. That's going to be such an indicator of
Yeah,
everything else.
yeah.
Yeah. I like that. All right. Last question. What does doing cool shit mean to you?
I think really just, like, proving who the fuck you are,
Me
like,
too.
to yourself. And again, like, that's the reason I got into bodybuilding is so that I could prove to myself that I could do those hard things because sticking to a diet and sticking to a plan and consistency was something that I struggled with so much for years. So I did that first bodybuilding competition as a way to prove to myself that I could stick to it. I didn't. I binged several times, but
Uh-huh.
again, that self-awareness, that was, like, the turning point for the self-awareness there. Um, but just being able to, like, do something and follow through with it, even if it wasn't perfect along the way, but you got to that end goal and saying, like, "Yeah, I fucking did that." I'm cool for being able to do that because most people wouldn't be able to stick it through because they lack that self-awareness.
So I like that little last addition there, Liv. Yeah, it's not because you do things perfectly. It's because you do things through the maybe unexpected challenges, the stuff that comes up. And yeah.
Yeah, and you realize, like, the person that you've become along the way to get to that point, and I think that's also the cool part of it is, like, yeah, I got here, but look at how I got here and look at who I became once I got here too.
Love it. All right. So, tell people where to find you, connect with you, tell people what you're up to, plug yourself.
Um, well, my most used social media platform is Instagram. I'm not really on TikTok or YouTube, um, but Olivia X Oneid is my Instagram, and then you can find my coaching and my whole team of coaches at masterathletic.com. And we have between me and Paul, we have 6 other coaches that work with us, with a big range of different, like, specialties, like high rocks training, military training, powerlifting, bodybuilding, general health fitness, some physiotherapists, rehab, so all the bases are covered.
Cool. You have a group training. Perfect.
In oh, yes, like the group, like workout training stuff. I have that all linked in my Instagram. Most of it is off of Train Heroic platform, but I also have one program available, the Juicy Legs program, on our personalized coaching app. And then the group nutrition coaching is in the works, but that will be out soon because I am doing hard things and I'm
I love it.
challenging myself.
You heard it here first. I love it. Cool. Well, I will add those in the show notes so you guys can go give Liv a follow and watch her do the hard things and do cool shit. And again, thank you for being here and chatting.
Thank
And
you. This was a really, really good chat. So I hope people find it helpful, especially heading into the holiday season, and just reminds them that there's more to life and more to their progress and who they are as people than what they look like on the outside and what the scale says the morning after a Thanksgiving meal.
I hope so too. I love that. And, I just want to add on here before we say see you later is this stuff is hard to do. And if you're, wanting change for yourself, then get in touch with a coach. And it doesn't have to be me, it doesn't have to be Liv, although I'm
Yeah,
biased.
but
I think we're both pretty great. But start that conversation. And that might be a really hard thing to do at first, but reach out and see what's possible for yourself. It's a game changer for so many people. So, all right, guys. See you next time.